Well, the PPP is also known as the Paycheck Protection Program, and the Paycheck Protection Program was designed in April of 2020 in a direct response for the COVID epidemic. It's a program that's designed through the SBA, the Small Business Administration, to basically help small businesses meet their payroll costs. And so the federal government, through the SBA, provided what they call the CARES Act through legislation. And I think the first round was up to $400 billion. That was in April of 2020. Fortunately enough, we have round two that came out in January of 2021. And it's an additional close to $400 billion. So that money now is being allocated to small businesses. Well, small businesses are primarily eligible. Independent contractors are eligible. Sole proprietors are eligible. Now you have to have been open on February 15th of 2020. They've reduced the amount of employees to 300 employees. You have to have spent all of the round one monies if you received round one or draw one. And I think the biggest kicker, if you would have to say, the biggest change for round two is that you have to have a 25% decrease in your gross receipts to be eligible for the second draw. You can have a first draw that you did in April of 2020. If you've used those funds, you are now eligible for the second draw. And what's very interesting actually about the program itself, the way that the calculations are completed, and it's based on how many employees you have. That's what it is. It's based on how many employees you have. But the calculation is your average monthly payroll for a particular amount of time. If you're in the hospitality industry, hotels, restaurants, you receive 3.5 times the average monthly salary, payroll expense. If you're not in that industry, you only receive 2.5 months. So every bank has really designed a system for how they can handle this volume, and of course assist their clients and of course their non-clients and really help the community. So if you have never received a PPP loan, you can go into the First Draw. If you have received a PPP loan and are going to request your second PPP, you just go into the second PPP request. One of the key aspects of the eligibility for the second draw is that you have spent the money in the first draw. These loans are 100% forgivable. And if you borrowed $10,000, you get forgiven $10,000, and basically the SBA will send the money to the bank and you are completely forgiven. So once you complete the application and you have come up with the calculation, which is then verified by your Texas National Bank representative or your banker, they will visit with you personally and say, listen, this number's perfectly fine. We will go ahead and submit it. We have the information to support. We go ahead and submit it to the SBA. Within about 3 or 4 days, we receive an answer. If it's accepted, then about 2 or 3 days you receive your funds. If you use those funds for a minimum of 60% payroll expense, all you have to do is continue to pay your employees and pay yourself and pay your employees, so 60% of the money is used for that. And the other 40% of the money can be used for mortgage interest, can be used for utilities on your business, and now in 2021 they've even expanded it to use it for general operations and supplies for PPE, which is any type of mask, and also amazingly enough, which has been wonderful that they thought of this, is you can also use it for any type of PPE software that you had to buy. Now think of how many companies had to expand their business on the iCloud and on the technology side. Well, that was an investment. Well, those expenses can be used as eligible for, so you don't have to, so you can actually forgive the loan. when you have 8 weeks to 24 weeks to use, they call it the covered period, to actually spend this money. I mean, so it's a remarkable, I mean, I have to give it to the federal government on this one, I really do. They were here for their community, they were here for local communities, state communities, and of course for the national community to really allow companies to survive during this COVID epidemic.